What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, your brain is actively working against you? That every day, without you even realizing it, your own mind is sabotaging your success, blocking your potential, and keeping you trapped in cycles of mediocrity. This isn't some motivational theory. This is neuroscience. This is the shocking reality that 95% of your daily decisions, actions, and behaviors are controlled by subconscious programming that was installed in your brain before you were even old enough to question it. Most people spend their entire lives fighting an invisible enemy. They set goals, but never achieve them. They have dreams, but never pursue them. They know what they should do, but somehow never do it. They blame lack of willpower, bad luck, or circumstances, never realizing that the real saboteur lives inside their own head. But here's what changes everything. Your brain is not fixed. The neural pathways that have been controlling your life can be rewritten. The subconscious programs that have been holding you back can be overridden. The self-sabotage patterns that have been destroying your potential can be eliminated completely. This audiobook will show you exactly how to do it. By the time you finish listening, you will understand the hidden mechanisms that control human behavior, master the science of neuroplasticity, and possess the tools to completely rewire your brain for unstoppable success. You'll learn why your current strategies haven't worked and discover the exact protocols used by neuroscientists to reshape the human mind. This is not about positive thinking or willpower. This is about hacking your brain at the deepest level and installing new programming that makes success inevitable. Are you ready to take control of your mind and finally become the person you were meant to be? Chapter 1. The Hidden Enemy, Understanding. Self-sabotage. Right now, as you listen to these words, there's a battle raging inside your brain. It's a war between the person you want to become and the person your subconscious mind insists you remain. And unless you understand this battle, unless you recognize the enemy, you will lose this war every single time. Self-sabotage is not a character flaw. It's not a sign of weakness or lack of motivation. It's a sophisticated survival mechanism that your brain developed to keep you safe. The problem is, what your brain considers safe is often what keeps you small, stuck, and unsuccessful. Let me paint you a picture of how this works. Imagine you decide to start a business. Consciously, you're excited. You have a plan, you're motivated, you're ready to take action. But deep in your subconscious, alarms are going off. Danger. This is new. This is risky. What if we fail? What if people judge us? What if we lose money? Your subconscious doesn't care about your dreams. It only cares about keeping you alive, and to your primitive brain, anything unfamiliar equals potential death. So it starts working against you. Suddenly, you find yourself procrastinating. You make excuses. You focus on unimportant tasks. You sabotage your own efforts without even realizing it. This is why people who desperately want to lose weight find themselves eating junk food. Why individuals who dream of success stay in jobs they hate. Why those who crave love keep choosing toxic relationships. It's not because they don't want better lives. It's because their subconscious mind has been programmed to keep them exactly where they are. The most insidious part of self-sabotage is that it feels justified. Your brain is incredibly good at creating rational-sounding excuses for self-destructive behavior. I'm too busy to work on my goals right now. This isn't the right time. I need to do more research first. I'm not ready yet. These aren't conscious lies. They're subconscious survival strategies designed to keep you in your comfort zone. But here's what most people don't realize. Your comfort zone is actually a prison. It's a mental cage constructed from fear, past experiences, and limiting beliefs. Every time you choose comfort over growth, safety over risk, familiar over unknown, you reinforce the bars of that cage. The tragedy is that most people live their entire lives inside this prison, never realizing they hold the key to their own freedom. They accept limitation as reality. They believe their fears are facts. They mistake their programming for their identity. But you're different. The fact that you're here, listening to this, means you're ready to break free. You're ready to understand how your brain really works and take control of the mechanisms that have been controlling you. Chapter 2. The Science of Self-Sabotage. How your brain creates its own roadblocks. To defeat self-sabotage, you must first understand its origins. And the origins lie deep within the architecture of your brain. In systems that evolved millions of years ago, when survival meant avoiding danger at all costs, your brain has three main parts: the reptilian brain, the limbic system, and the reptilian brain controls basic survival functions. The limbic system processes emotions and memories. The neocortex handles logic, reasoning, and conscious thought. The problem is, when it comes to decision-making, these three systems don't always agree. When you set a goal or decide to change something in your life, your neocortex is on board. It can see the logical benefits of change, but your limbic system and reptilian brain, they're terrified. Change means uncertainty, and uncertainty means potential danger. Here's where it gets interesting. Your subconscious brain processes information 500,000 times faster than your conscious mind. By the time you've consciously decided to take action, your subconscious has already scanned for threats, activated stress responses, and begun implementing countermeasures to keep you safe. Asterisk, this is why willpower alone never works. You're essentially trying to use your conscious mind to override systems that are faster, stronger, and more deeply embedded in your neural architecture. It's like trying to stop a freight train with a bicycle. But the real kicker is this: your brain doesn't just sabotage you in the moment. It actually rewires itself to make self-sabotage easier over time. Every time you procrastinate, make an excuse, or avoid taking action, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with avoidance. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you literally rewire your brain to prefer staying stuck. This is called neuroplasticity in reverse. Instead of using your brain's ability to change in your favor, you're accidentally using it against yourself. You're training your brain to be better at self-sabotage. The neural pathways in your brain are like hiking trails. The more often a trail is used, the more worn and easy to follow it becomes. If you've been practicing self-sabotage for years, those neural pathways are like superhighways. Meanwhile, the pathways associated with taking action, pushing through discomfort, and pursuing your goals, they're overgrown and barely visible. But here's the game-changing truth: you can build new trails. You can create new neural pathways. You can literally rewire your brain to make success and progress feel as natural and automatic as sleek self-sabotage feels now. Asterisk Chapter 3. The Programming That Controls. You uncovering your subconscious operating system. Your subconscious mind is like a computer operating system running programs in the background that control your behavior. Most of these programs were installed without your permission, often before you were old enough to question them. And many of them are working directly against your success. From birth to about age 7, your brain operates primarily in theta waves, a state of deep absorption and learning. During this period, you're literally downloading the operating system. For your entire life, every word spoken around you, every emotion you witness, every experience you have is being recorded and filed away as truth about how the world works. If you grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees, you're subconscious. Installed a program that says financial struggle is normal. If you heard life is hard, you developed a program that expects difficulty and resistance. If you experienced criticism or rejection, you might have installed a program that says you're not good enough. These programs don't just influence your thoughts, they control your behavior at the most fundamental level. They determine what opportunities you notice, what risks you're willing to take, what you believe is possible for yourself. Asterisk. Let me give you a specific example. Let's say you have a subconscious program that says successful people are greedy and selfish. This program was installed when you were young, maybe from hearing adults criticize wealthy individuals. Now, as an adult, you consciously want financial success, but your subconscious mind resists it because it conflicts with your core programming. So what happens? Self-sabotage. Your subconscious mind will make sure you don't become too successful because that would make you greedy and selfish, which conflicts with your identity as a good person. You'll find ways to undermine your own progress, make poor financial decisions, or sabotage opportunities before they can make you too successful. The insidious part is that this all happens below the level of conscious awareness. You don't wake up thinking, I'm going to sabotage myself today because I have limiting beliefs about money. Instead, you just find yourself making choices that keep you stuck, and you rationalize those choices with logical-sounding excuses. This is why most self-help approaches fail. They try to change behavior at the conscious level while ignoring the subconscious programs that are actually driving that behavior. It's like trying to change what's showing on your computer screen by wiping the monitor instead of changing the software. But once you understand that you have these programs running, once you can identify them and see how they're affecting your life, you can begin the process of rewriting them. You can install new programs that support your success instead of sabotaging it. Chapter 4. The Neuroscience of Change, How Your Brain Resists and Embraces. Transformation. Your brain is simultaneously the most adaptable and most resistant to change organ in your body. Understanding this paradox is crucial to successful rewiring. On one hand, your brain is incredibly plastic. Neuroplasticity research shows that you can literally grow new neurons, form new connections, and rewire existing pathways throughout your entire life. Stroke victims can recover function by training other parts of their brain to take over damaged areas. London taxi drivers develop enlarged hippocampi from memorizing the city's complex street layout. Musicians show increased development in areas related to motor control and auditory processing. But on the other hand, your brain desperately wants to maintain the status quo. It has a built-in resistance to change called homeostasis. This is your brain's attempt to keep everything stable and predictable. When you try to change a habit, learn a new skill, or adopt a new mindset, your brain perceives this as a threat to its current operating system. It activates what neuroscientists call the threat detection system, which triggers stress responses designed to bring you back to familiar patterns. This is why change feels so uncomfortable. It's not just psychological discomfort. It's actual neurological stress. Your brain is literally fighting against the new patterns you're trying to establish. But here's the breakthrough. Once you understand this resistance, you can work with it instead of against it. The key is to make changes gradually, in a way that doesn't trigger your brain's alarm systems. Neuroscientists have discovered that small, consistent changes are much more effective than dramatic transformations. When you make tiny adjustments to your behavior, your brain doesn't perceive them as threats. It allows the new patterns to take root without activating resistance. This is called the minimum effective dose principle. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight, you make the smallest possible change that will still create progress. You focus on building new neural pathways gradually, strengthening them through repetition until they become as automatic as your old patterns. The research is clear. It takes approximately 66 days of consistent repetition to form a new habit at the neurological level. But most people give up after a few days or weeks because they don't understand that their brain is designed to resist change initially. Once you push through the initial resistance period, something magical happens. The new behavior starts to feel natural. The neural pathways become well established. Your brain stops fighting the change and starts supporting it. Chapter 5. Identifying your sabotage patterns, the hidden programs running your life. Before you can rewire your brain, you need to identify the specific programs that are sabotaging your success. Most people are completely unconscious of their self-sabotage patterns. Because they've been running automatically for so long, self-sabotage rarely looks like what you think it does. It doesn't usually manifest as dramatic self-destruction. Instead, it shows up as subtle patterns that keep you just below your potential. Procrastination is one of the most common forms of self-sabotage. But it's not what most people think it is. Procrastination isn't about being lazy or lacking motivation. It's your brain's way of avoiding tasks that trigger fear, uncertainty, or potential failure. When you procrastinate, you're not avoiding the task itself. You're avoiding the emotions that the task might trigger. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment, fear of not being perfect. Your brain would rather have you do nothing than risk those uncomfortable emotions. Perfectionism is another major sabotage pattern. Perfectionists think they're pursuing excellence, but they're actually avoiding completion. If you never finish anything, you never have to face potential criticism or failure. Perfectionism is procrastination disguised as high standards. People-pleasing is a form of self-sabotage that destroys personal boundaries and authentic goals. When you constantly prioritize other people's needs over your own, you're using their approval as a drug to avoid dealing with your own fears and insecurities. Self-distraction is becoming increasingly common in our hyper-connected world. Every time you reach for your phone when you should be working on your goals, every time you binge-watch shows instead of taking action, you're engaging in self-sabotage. Your brain is using entertainment and stimulation to avoid the discomfort of growth. Negative self-talk is perhaps the most destructive form of self-sabotage because it attacks the foundation of all success, your belief in yourself. When you constantly criticize yourself, doubt your abilities, or focus on your failures, you're programming your brain to expect and create more failure. The key to identifying your personal sabotage patterns is developing metacognition, the ability to observe your own thoughts and behaviors objectively. Start paying attention to the moments when you're supposed to be moving toward your goals, but find yourself doing something else instead. Notice the stories you tell yourself when you avoid taking action. Notice the emotions that come up when you think about pursuing your dreams. Notice the behaviors you engage in when you're supposed to be working on important tasks. These patterns aren't random. They're your brain's attempts to keep you safe from perceived threats. Once you can see them clearly, you can begin to understand what your subconscious mind is trying to protect you from. Asterisk. Chapter 6. The Fear Behind the Sabotage, Understanding. What your brain is really protecting you from. Every self-sabotage behavior has a fear driving it. Until you identify and address these core fears, you'll keep fighting the symptoms instead of curing the disease. Fear of failure is the most obvious driver of self-sabotage. If you never really try, you never really fail. This fear often develops in childhood, when failure was met with criticism, disappointment, or withdrawal of love. Your brain learned that failure equals rejection, so it develops strategies to avoid potential failure situations. But fear of success can be even more destructive than fear of failure. Success brings responsibility, visibility, and change. It means leaving behind familiar identities and stepping into unknown territory. Many people unconsciously sabotage themselves. Right on the verge of breakthrough because success feels more threatening than staying stuck. Fear of judgment is another major driver. This fear says if I put myself out there, people will see my flaws. They'll criticize me. They'll realize I'm not as capable as I pretend to be. So your brain keeps you small and invisible to avoid potential judgment. Fear of inadequacy runs deeper than fear of judgment. This is the fear that you're fundamentally not good enough, that you don't deserve success, that you're an imposter who will eventually be found out. This fear drives people to work harder and harder while never feeling satisfied with their achievements. Fear of abandonment causes people to sabotage relationships and opportunities. If you get too successful, too confident, or too independent, will people still love you? Will you still fit in? Your brain might sabotage your growth to maintain connection with others. Fear of responsibility is the fear that success will bring obligations you can't handle. If I become successful, people will expect more from me. I'll have to maintain this level of performance. I'll disappoint people when I can't live up to their expectations. The most insidious fear is the fear of your own power. Deep down, you know you're capable of extraordinary things. But with great power comes great responsibility. Your brain might keep you playing small because it's safer to remain a victim of circumstances than to take full responsibility for creating your life. These fears aren't logical. They're emotional programs installed when you were young and vulnerable. A child who is criticized for making mistakes might develop a fear of failure that persists into adulthood, even when the consequences of failure are minimal. The key is recognizing that these fears are outdated software. They were your brain's best attempt to protect you based on limited information and childhood experiences. But you're not a child anymore. You can handle failure, success, judgment, and responsibility. Chapter 7. The Rewiring Protocol, Step-by-Step Brain. Reprogramming for Success. Now that you understand how self-sabotage works and what drives it, it's time to learn the specific techniques for rewiring your brain. This isn't theory. These are proven protocols based on neuroscience, research, and clinical practice. The first step is pattern interruption. When you catch yourself engaging in self-sabotage behavior, You need to interrupt the pattern before it can complete itself. This creates a moment of conscious choice where you can redirect your behavior. The moment you notice yourself procrastinating, making excuses, or avoiding action, stop everything. Take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, what am I really avoiding? Right now, what emotion am I trying not to feel? This breaks the automatic pattern and brings conscious awareness to the process next. You need to practice emotional tolerance. Most self-sabotage is an attempt to avoid uncomfortable emotions. But emotions are just energy in motion. They can't actually hurt you unless you resist them. When you feel fear, anxiety, or discomfort around taking action, instead of avoiding those feelings, lean into them. Breathe through them. Remind yourself that discomfort is not danger. It's just your brain's way of signaling that you're moving beyond your comfort zone. The third technique is cognitive reframing. This involves consciously changing the meaning you assign to situations. Instead of interpreting discomfort as a sign that something is wrong, reframe it as a sign that you're growing. Instead of seeing failure as evidence of inadequacy, reframe it as valuable feedback. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools for rewiring your brain. Your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you repeatedly visualize yourself taking action, succeeding, and handling challenges with confidence, you're literally programming new neural pathways. But visualization must be done correctly. Don't just imagine the end result. Visualize the entire process, including the obstacles you'll face and how you'll overcome them. See yourself feeling uncomfortable and taking action anyway. This prepares your brain for the reality of change. Affirmations work, but only when done properly. Your subconscious mind will reject affirmations that feel too different from your current reality. Instead of saying, "I am successful," which your brain might resist, try, "I am becoming more successful every day," or "I am willing to learn what it takes to succeed." The key is creating affirmations that feel believable while still stretching your identity in the direction you want to go. Repeat these affirmations when your brain is in a receptive state, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, or after meditation. Physical movement is crucial for rewiring. Exercise doesn't just change your body, it changes your brain. It increases production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which helps grow new neurons and connections. It also reduces stress hormones that can interfere with neuroplasticity. Environmental design is often overlooked but incredibly powerful. Your environment constantly influences your brain. If your physical space is chaotic, your mental space will be too. Create an environment that supports the behaviors you want to develop. Chapter 8. Installing new programs, creating success-oriented neural pathways. Eliminating self-sabotage is only half the battle. You also need to install new programs that automatically drive you toward success. This is where most people fail. They focus on stopping negative behaviors without creating positive alternatives. Your brain abhors a vacuum. If you remove old patterns without replacing them with new ones, your brain will default back to the familiar behaviors. You need to consciously design and install new neural pathways that support your goals. The first new program to install is the Action Despite Discomfort program. This program says, discomfort is not danger. When I feel uncomfortable, it means I'm growing. The appropriate response to discomfort is action, not avoidance. To install this program, you need to repeatedly take action while feeling uncomfortable. Start small. Do something slightly outside your comfort zone every day. Make a phone call you've been avoiding. Have a difficult conversation. Try something new. Each time you act, despite discomfort, you strengthen this neural pathway. The second program is failure as feedback. This program reframes failure from a threat to a tool. Failure isn't evidence of inadequacy. It's information about what doesn't work, so you can adjust your approach to install this program. Start celebrating your failures. When something doesn't work out, ask, what did this teach me? How can I use this information to improve? Treat failure as a valuable part of the learning process rather than something to be avoided. The third program is progress over perfection. This program says, done is better than perfect. Progress is more valuable than perfection. Consistent action beats perfect planning. Install this program by intentionally doing things imperfectly. Publish the blog post that's not quite ready. Have the conversation before you've planned every word. Take action before you feel completely prepared. This teaches your brain that imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. The fourth program is growth mindset. This program believes that abilities can be developed through effort and learning. People with growth mindsets see challenges as opportunities to improve rather than threats to their self-image. To install this program, start viewing your qualities as malleable rather than fixed. Instead of "I'm not good at this," say "I'm not good at this yet." Instead of "I failed," say "I learned." Focus on process and effort rather than just outcomes. The fifth program is resourcefulness over resources. This program says, I can figure it out. I can find a way. If I don't have the resources I need, I'll develop the resourcefulness to get them. Install this program by solving problems with whatever resources you currently have. Stop waiting for perfect conditions or more. Resources. Start with what you have and figure out the rest along the way. Each of these programs must be reinforced through consistent practice. Every time you choose the new response over the old one, you strengthen the new neural pathway and weaken the old one. Over time, these new responses become as automatic as your old self-sabotage patterns were. Chapter 9. The identity shift, becoming the person, who succeeds naturally. The deepest level of rewiring involves changing your core identity. Your identity is the story you tell yourself about who you are, and this story drives all your behaviors. If your identity doesn't align with your goals, you'll unconsciously sabotage yourself to maintain consistency with who you think you are. Most people try to change their behaviors while keeping the same identity. They want to be successful while still seeing themselves as someone who struggles. They want to be confident while identifying as insecure. This creates internal conflict that manifests as self-sabotage. The solution is to shift your identity. First, then allow your behaviors to flow naturally from this new sense of self. When you truly see yourself as a successful person, successful behaviors become automatic. When you identify as confident, confident actions feel natural. But identity change can't be forced through willpower alone. Your brain will resist sudden identity shifts just as much as it resists behavioral changes. The key is to shift your identity gradually. Using the same principles of NEUROPLASTITITY, start by identifying the gap between who you are now and who you want to become. If you currently see yourself as someone who struggles with money and you want to become someone who is naturally abundant, That's your identity bridge. Begin collecting evidence for your new identity. Every time you make a smart financial decision, manage money well, or create any amount of value, acknowledge it as evidence that you are becoming more abundant. Your brain believes what it focuses on. Use identity-based affirmations. I am the type of person who takes care of their finances. I am someone who creates value for others. I am becoming more financially intelligent every day. These statements feel more believable than claims about current reality. Adopt the habits of your desired identity. Ask yourself, what would a successful person do in this situation? How would a confident person handle this challenge? What would an abundant person's daily routine look like? Then start implementing those behaviors, even if they feel unnatural. At first, surround yourself with people who reinforce your new identity. Your peer group has enormous influence on how you see yourself. If everyone around you struggles and complains, it's harder to maintain an identity of success and abundance. Document your transformation. Keep a journal of your progress, your wins, and your growth. Seeing concrete evidence of change helps your brain accept the new identity as real rather than imaginary. The most powerful identity shift happens when you stop trying to become someone different and start uncovering who you truly are beneath the layers of conditioning and fear. Your highest potential isn't something you need to create. It's something you need to uncover by removing everything that's not authentically you. Chapter 10. Advanced Rewiring Techniques Accelerating Your Transformation. Once you've mastered the basic rewiring protocols, you can accelerate your transformation using advanced neuroscience techniques. These methods work faster, but require more skill and commitment. State conditioning is one of the most powerful techniques for rapid rewiring. Your brain associates specific mental and emotional states with specific behaviors. By consciously creating peak states and anchoring them to desired behaviors, you can program automatic success responses. Start by identifying your peak performance state, a time when you felt completely confident, focused, and capable. Recreate this state as vividly as possible. Feel the emotions, see through those eyes, hear the internal dialogue. While in this peak state, visualize yourself taking the actions you want to become automatic. Repeat this process daily, always, pairing the peak state with a desired behavior. Over time, thinking about the behavior will automatically trigger the peak state, making success actions feel natural and inevitable. Timeline therapy involves reprogramming limiting beliefs at their source. Many self-sabotage patterns are linked to specific past experiences, where your brain learned to associate certain situations with danger or inadequacy. Identify the earliest memory connected to your self-sabotage pattern. Return to that memory in your imagination, but this time, bring your adult wisdom and perspective. Reframe the experience with your current understanding. Show your younger self that they misinterpreted the situation and that they are actually safe and capable. This technique can be emotionally intense, but it's incredibly effective for removing deep-rooted blocks that resist other approaches. Belief. Archaeology involves digging up and examining the foundational beliefs that support your self-sabotage patterns. Many limiting beliefs are supported by a whole network of smaller beliefs that reinforce each other. For example, the belief "I'm not good enough" might be supported by beliefs like "successful people are different from me." "I always mess things up, and good things don't happen to people like me." You need to identify and challenge the entire belief system, not just the surface belief. Write down your limiting belief and ask, what other beliefs support this one? Where did I learn this? What evidence contradicts this belief? How would my life be different if I didn't believe this? Work through the entire network systematically. Somatic rewiring recognizes that trauma and limiting beliefs are stored not just in the mind, but in the body. Sometimes traditional cognitive approaches aren't enough. You need to work with the body's nervous system directly. Practices like breathwork, yoga, massage, and other body-based therapies can help release trapped emotions and reset nervous system. Patterns. When your body learns to feel safe in situations that previously triggered stress, your mind follows naturally. Future self-visualization is a powerful technique for creating motivation and clarity. Your brain is constantly predicting the future and making decisions based on those predictions. By creating vivid, detailed visions of your future self succeeding, you give your brain a clear target to aim for. Spend time regularly connecting with different versions of your future self, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now. Have conversations with these future selves. Ask them for advice. Let them show you what's possible. This creates a powerful pull toward your potential that can override current limitations. Chapter 11. Dealing with resistance when your brain fights back. As you begin rewiring your brain, you'll encounter resistance. This isn't a sign that something is wrong, it's a sign that something is working. Your brain is designed to resist change, and the stronger the change, the stronger the resistance. Understanding resistance helps you work with it instead of against it. When you encounter resistance, your first instinct might be to push harder, but this often backfires. It's like trying to push a spring. The harder you push, the harder it pushes back. Instead, acknowledge the resistance without judgment. Thank your brain for trying to keep you safe. Recognize that resistance is actually a sign that you're making progress. If you weren't threatening your old patterns, there would be no resistance. The extinction burst is a phenomenon where old behaviors temporarily get worse before they get better. When you start changing a deeply ingrained pattern, your brain might actually increase the intensity of the old behavior as a last-ditch effort to maintain control. If you've been working on eliminating procrastination and suddenly find yourself procrastinating more than ever, you might be experiencing an extinction burst. This is actually good news. It means the old pattern is losing its grip and fighting to survive. Emotional overwhelm often accompanies deep rewiring work. As you challenge old patterns, suppressed emotions might surface. You might feel angry, sad, scared, or confused for no apparent reason. This is your brain processing and releasing old emotional patterns. Don't try to suppress these emotions or push through them with willpower. Allow them to be present. Feel them fully without acting on them destructively. Remember that emotions are temporary. They will pass if you don't resist them. Identity crisis is common during transformation. As your old identity starts dissolving, and your new identity hasn't fully formed yet, you might feel lost or confused about who you are. This is a normal part of growth. During this phase, focus on your values rather than your identity. Values are more stable than identity and can guide you through periods of uncertainty. Ask yourself, what do I value most? How can I honor those values regardless of how I'm feeling about myself right now? Sabotage backlash is when your subconscious mind tries to pull you back to old patterns through increased self-sabotage behaviors. You might find yourself engaging in destructive behaviors you thought you'd overcome. When this happens, don't judge yourself or give up. Recognize it as your brain's attempt to maintain homeostasis. Gently redirect yourself back to your new patterns without self-criticism. Consistency is more important than perfection. Social resistance comes from other people who are threatened by your transformation. Friends and family might unconsciously try to pull you back to your old patterns because your growth makes them uncomfortable about their own lack of growth. Set boundaries with people who don't support your transformation. You don't need to be harsh, but you need to protect your new patterns from negative influences. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your growth rather than resist it. The key to handling all forms of resistance is patience and persistence. Your brain didn't develop its current patterns overnight, and it won't change them overnight either. Trust the process. Stay consistent with your new patterns. And remember that resistance is temporary. New neural pathways will become stronger with time. Chapter 12. Maintaining your new programming, making changes permanent. Creating new neural pathways is only the beginning. Making those changes permanent requires ongoing maintenance and reinforcement. Many people successfully rewire their brains temporarily, only to revert to old patterns when they stop actively maintaining their new programming. Neuroplasticity works both ways. Just as you can build new neural pathways, you can also lose them if you don't use them. The brain operates on a use-it-or-lose-it principle. Neural pathways that aren't regularly activated begin to weaken and fade. This is why it's crucial to consistently reinforce your new patterns even after they feel automatic. Just like physical fitness requires ongoing exercise, mental fitness requires ongoing practice. Create daily reinforcement rituals that strengthen your new programming. This might include morning affirmations, evening reflection, visualization, practice, or regular review of your goals and progress. These don't need to be long, even 5 minutes of daily reinforcement can maintain strong neural pathways. Environmental maintenance is equally important. Your environment constantly influences your brain, either supporting your new patterns or pulling you back to old ones. Regularly audit your environment, physical, social, and digital, to ensure it supports your transformation. If certain places, people, or activities trigger old patterns, minimize your exposure to them. If certain environments support your new patterns, spend more time in them. Design your environment to make success automatic and self-sabotage difficult. Identity maintenance requires ongoing attention to your self-concept. Continue collecting evidence for your new identity. Celebrate your progress. Acknowledge your growth. Remind yourself regularly of how far you've come and who you're becoming. When you encounter setbacks, and you will, don't interpret them as evidence that you haven't really changed. Instead, see them as temporary lapses that are part of the normal process. Get back on track quickly without self-judgment. Skill maintenance means continuing to develop the abilities that support your new patterns. If confidence is part of your new programming, keep developing skills that build confidence. If abundance thinking is part of your rewiring, keep learning about wealth, creation, and financial intelligence. The brain loves learning and growth. By continually developing new skills related to your desired identity, you keep the relevant neural pathways active and strong. Community maintenance involves staying connected with people who support your transformation. Join groups of like-minded individuals. Find mentors who embody the qualities you're developing. Surround yourself with people who see your potential and encourage your growth. Regular upgrades keep your programming current and relevant. Just as software needs updates, your mental programming needs regular upgrades to stay effective. Every few months, assess your progress and identify areas for improvement or expansion. What new challenges are you ready to take on? What additional skills would serve your goals? How can you continue expanding your comfort zone and building on your transformation? Chapter 13. Advanced Identity Engineering, Becoming Unstoppable. The highest level of brain rewiring involves engineering an identity so strong and clear that self-sabotage becomes impossible. This isn't about positive thinking or fake confidence. It's about systematically constructing a self-concept that naturally produces successful behaviors. Your identity is composed of multiple layers: core beliefs about yourself, stories about your past and future, values that guide your decisions, and the roles you play in life. Most people inherit these elements randomly from their experiences rather than consciously designing them. Identity engineering means taking conscious control of these elements and designing them to support your highest potential. You become the architect of your own character rather than a victim of your conditioning. Start with your core beliefs about your capabilities. Instead of accepting limiting beliefs like "I'm not smart enough" or "I'm not a people person," consciously choose empowering beliefs like "I can learn anything I need to know," or "I connect easily with others when I'm being authentic." These aren't just positive affirmations. They're conscious choices about what to believe about yourself. Your brain will find evidence to support whatever you consistently tell it to look for. Rewrite your personal history by changing the meaning you assign to past experiences. You can't change what happened, but you can change what those experiences mean to you. Every challenge becomes evidence of your resilience. Every failure becomes proof of your willingness to take risks. Every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. Design your future narrative by creating compelling visions of who you're becoming. Your brain is always moving toward whatever future it expects. By consciously designing detailed, emotionally compelling visions of your future self, you give your brain a clear direction to follow. Choose your values deliberately rather than accepting whatever values you inherited. Values are decision-making shortcuts. They tell you how to behave in any situation. If you value growth over comfort, you'll automatically choose challenging experiences. If you value contribution over consumption, you'll naturally focus on creating value for others. Craft your roles intentionally. You play many roles in life: professional roles, family roles, social roles. Instead of letting these roles define you, consciously define how you want to show up in each role. How do you want to be as a leader, as a partner, as a friend, as a parent? The most powerful identity engineering technique is the future self methodology. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, having achieved your most important goals and embodied your highest potential. What qualities does this future self possess? How do they think? How do they handle challenges? How do they make decisions? Now begin embodying those qualities today. Don't wait until you achieve your goals to become the person you want to be. Start being that person now, and the achievements will follow naturally. This isn't about pretending or faking. It's about recognizing that the person you want to become already exists within you. You're simply removing the layers of conditioning that have been hiding your true potential. Chapter 14. The Neuroscience of Peak Performance. Optimizing your brain for excellence. Once you've eliminated self-sabotage and installed success programming, you can optimize your brain for peak performance. This involves understanding and applying cutting-edge neuroscience research about how high performers think and operate. Flow states are periods of optimal performance where your brain functions with maximum efficiency and minimum effort. During flow, the prefrontal cortex partially shuts down in a process called transient hypofrontality, reducing self-criticism and overthinking while enhancing creativity and focus. You can train yourself to enter flow states more easily by creating the right conditions, clear goals, immediate feedback, and a balance between challenge and skill level. When tasks are too easy, you get bored. When they're too hard, you get anxious. Flow happens in the sweet spot where you're slightly challenged but still capable. Attention training is crucial for peak performance. Your ability to focus deeply on important tasks while filtering out distractions determines the quality of your results. Most people have never trained their attention and are at the mercy of whatever captures their interest in the moment. Practice sustained attention by working on important tasks for increasingly longer periods without distraction. Start with 25-minute focus sessions and gradually build up to 90-minute sessions. During these periods, resist all urges to check email, social media, or engage in any other activity. Cognitive load management involves optimizing how your brain processes information. Your working memory can only handle a limited amount of information at once. Peak performers minimize cognitive load by creating systems that handle routine decisions automatically. Create standard procedures for recurring tasks. Use checklists for complex processes. Automate or delegate anything that doesn't require your unique skills. This frees up mental resources for high-value thinking and decision-making. Recovery. Protocols are essential for maintaining peak performance. Over time, your brain needs regular rest and recovery to maintain high function. This includes quality sleep, mental breaks throughout the day, and longer periods of complete disconnection from work. Sleep is particularly crucial because it's when your brain consolidates new learning and clears metabolic waste. Prioritize 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep and maintain consistent sleep and wake times to optimize your brain's natural rhythms. Asterisk stress optimization recognizes that some stress enhances performance while too much stress degrades it. The goal isn't to eliminate stress, but to optimize it for peak performance. Acute stress can sharpen focus and enhance performance, but chronic stress is destructive. Learn to activate stress responses when you need peak performance and deactivate them during rest periods through breathing techniques, meditation, or physical exercise. Neuroplasticity acceleration involves using specific techniques to speed up brain adaptation and learning. These include spaced repetition for memory consolidation, interleaving different types of practice for better skill transfer, and deliberate practice that focuses on weaknesses rather than strengths. The most successful people aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the ones who optimize their brain function for consistent high performance. By applying these neuroscience principles, you can achieve results that seem impossible to others but feel natural to you. Chapter 15. Living as your transformed self-integration and mastery. The final stage of brain rewiring is integration, seamlessly incorporating your new programming into every aspect of your life. This is where transformation becomes permanent and natural rather than something you have to consciously maintain. True integration means that your new patterns of thinking and behaving becomes so automatic that you no longer have to think about them. Success behaviors flow naturally from your new identity. Confidence feels normal rather than forced. Taking action despite discomfort becomes your default response. This level of integration doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of consistent practice over months and years. But once you reach this stage, you become truly unstoppable because success isn't something you do, it's something you are. Mastery involves not just changing yourself, but understanding the principles well enough to help others transform as well. When you can teach these concepts to others and help them eliminate their own self-sabotage, you demonstrate true mastery of the material. Teaching others also reinforces your own transformation. Every time you explain these principles, you strengthen your own neural pathways. Every time you help someone else overcome their limitations, you remind yourself of your own power to change. Continuous evolution recognizes that growth never stops. Even after you've achieved your initial goals and transformed your basic programming, there are always new levels of development available. The person who eliminates self-sabotage can then focus on optimization. The person who masters confidence can then develop leadership abilities. Your brain is capable of continuous adaptation throughout your entire life. There's no limit to how much you can grow, how much you can learn, or how much you can improve. The principles you've learned in this audiobook can be applied to any area of life you want to transform. Living as your transformed self means embodying these principles consistently, not just when it's convenient or easy. It means maintaining your new identity even when faced with challenges, setbacks, or pressure to revert to old patterns. You become a living example of what's possible when someone takes full responsibility for their mental programming and commits to continuous growth. Your life becomes proof that transformation is possible and inspiration for others to begin there. No, most profound realization is that you were never actually broken or flawed. You were simply operating with outdated programming that no longer served you. Underneath all the conditioning, fears, and limiting beliefs, your essential self was always whole, capable, and worthy of success. Brain rewiring isn't about becoming someone different. It's about becoming who you truly are when you remove everything that isn't authentically you. It's about uncovering your natural brilliance, confidence, capability that were always there beneath the layers of conditioning. As you continue this journey, remember that every thought you think, every choice you make, and every action you take is either reinforcing your old programming or building new patterns. You have the power to choose. You have the knowledge to succeed. You have everything you need to create the life you want. Your brain is the most sophisticated technology in the known universe, and you are its programmer. The question isn't whether you can transform your life. The question is what you'll choose to program into the most powerful computer you'll ever own. The choice is yours. The power is within you. The time is now. Your transformed life awaits.